Hello, this is John Carter, and I am going to talk to you about an issue under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Now, many of you have probably applied for loans and wonder why you didn't get approved for it, even though you know you have the job, you know you have the income, you know you have a credit score based on the credit score that you pull from your consumer credit report, which is Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax. So those are consumer credit reports. But did you know that the federal government a few years ago, and they said that it would happen back in 1987, but even if it did, they didn't enforce it until now, has a credit reporting system called CAIVRS. Look it up. It's CAIVRS. CAIVRS. So CAIVRS is a fourth credit bureau, a credit reporting system that's run and controlled by the federal government. Your Congress people authorized this to get around the consumer credit reporting requirements under the three major credit bureaus. And here's how it works. Now, normally, anything that's been on your credit report for more than 7 years must be removed, or anything that's inaccurate. Because when you look at your three major credit bureau reports, anything that's not accurate, you can remove it because you can see it, right? Or you can challenge it because you can see it. Or after 7 years, it'll go away. So what the Congress did to circumvent that, they authorized the Department of Housing and Urban Development to be the fiscal agent to control CAIVRS. So when you Google CAIVRS, it'll tell you that it's a system where the federal government looks for people who default on federal loans, whether they be housing loans or student loans or certain types of other federal loans that you may get. But it goes beyond that now because other financial institutions can also report to CAIVRS. Even child support debt is also reported to CAIVRS. So when you look at your credit report, you may not see anything like that because you may not see defaulted student loans, you may not see a child support issue, you may not see some past bank issue that you owed somewhere, or a housing issue, or somebody put your name out there and it's being erroneously reported on your credit bureau report. Only federal financial institutions and only banks and other federal financial institutions can see it. As a consumer, you do not have a right to see or correct any information that's on your CAIVRS report. Now, it can be done, but only if a financial institution shares their information with you to give you the access to do it. Now, isn't that strange? Because if the Fair Credit Reporting Act is supposed to protect consumers to correct erroneous information, how can you correct what you don't know about? That is the valid question. And the reason they do this is that they are controlling. This is a way of them controlling and interjecting even more bias in the credit reporting system. Like if you've ever gone to the bank and you've applied for a loan and the bank came back and said, well, your debt to income ratio is so high, it's too high, that's why you didn't get the loan. It isn't that you didn't have the credit score. It isn't that you don't have the income. It isn't that you don't have the stability on the job. You meet all the other criteria, but you still don't get approved for that loan through the bank. It's because the banker is seeing different information than what you see on your credit report. And when they say that your debt to income ratio is too high, it doesn't match. You need to really go to that financial institution and say, hey, give me a copy of that CAIVRS report that you're looking at. Remember, it's spelled CAIVRS, and you will see that there is a fourth credit bureau out there that's run and controlled by the federal government. And this is their way of controlling. You see, our liberties are being eroded more and more every day because they don't come take everything at one time or put everybody into this plantation system that make you conform to what they want you to do. You figure, oh, well, nothing's wrong. Something is very wrong on this system and how they're doing this. And if we do nothing about it, it's going to continue and it's going to get worse. The problem is that when you hear information like this and you research it and you know it's true, you still do nothing about it. And it only grows and gets worse. What I want to know is, how does the Department of Housing and Urban Development become a credit reporting guru to watch over, oversee, and monitor your credit activity? That is not their function. Even though they say Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they're the ones that, well, we're just looking at for our interest for people who default on our loans. The problem is that they're sending this to other agencies now. It's not just in housing. It's your whole aspect. When they're telling you that only Financial institutions that deal with federal loans can see it. Child support people see it. Insurance companies can see it now. They're sharing it with more and more agencies, but they're not sharing it with you because you do not see these things reported on your consumer credit report. And even when they're reported, if you don't know it, how can you correct it? So they can have erroneous information in that CAIVRS report that's impacting your ability to get a loan from the bank, and you can't do anything about it because you don't know about it. If your bank does not share it with you, there's nothing you can do about it. Thus, that is the problem. When are we going to wake up and do something about this tyranny? These elected officials in Washington, D.C. are doing more and more to impact your rights so you have less and less. And we don't even understand what's going on, or we're not paying attention to what's going on because we're too distracted by things that don't matter. Wake up. It can cost you your liberty. It can cost you your life. Be vigilant, be bold, be courageous, do your research.